What's up, gang? How you guys doing? I am Lieutenant Sound Blue, 28-year law enforcement veteran and the author of the top 25 mistakes en route to the good life. Coming at you today with my daily podcast. Now, if you guys haven't noticed, in last couple of days I've been working. Today I got a break and some time to actually do my podcast, okay, in the studio. I did a couple of days in the car. That was rough, that was new. But you have to learn how to be adaptable, right? Especially if you have goals and things that you want to do, a life that you want to create. Every day, life is not going to be the perfect mix of things that you need to help you be successful. Sometimes you're going to have to ad-lib. Sometimes you're going to have to figure out another way. Sometimes you're going to have to just step in there and just do something different and unorthodox, right? In order to keep with your goals and to keep steady. And that is what, me talking about my podcast every day and me talking to you about all the mistakes that I make is because it's going to allow you guys to be as adaptable as possible. And so we're coming up on the new year. Today is already the 29th, right? So you got 2 more days until 2022 hits. And what are you guys thinking about? What are you doing? I did a couple of podcasts in the car on the fly, just talking about, not beating yourself up from the mistakes that you made, as well as giving yourself some props on some of the things that you have accomplished in 2021. So those were like 2 podcasts where I was just trying to build you back up, right? This is one going in strong for 2022. You really have to know. And this is one that set me back so many years when I was doing it over and over again. And I did not realize, right, that a lot of times, man, if you continue to do the same thing over and over again, not are you just insane, man. Listen, you are just losing years and you're losing time. So a lot of times, the more that you actually do it, the worse it gets, right? You don't actually get better at it. So that one thing was me being controlled by my feelings and emotions, me being controlled by my ego, and me allowing all of those things to dictate my actions each and every day. So a lot of times I got into things that I shouldn't have got into, fights that I shouldn't have got into, battles that I shouldn't have got into, all because of my reactions. So today's question for you guys, right? For you guys listening today is, why are you trying to fight a losing battle? That's right. Why are you trying to fight a losing battle? Let's face it, man. Let's face it, right? In life, right? You are not always going to be the one calling the shots. You're not always going to be the one calling the shots. Everybody has to start somewhere, right? You may not even be the one in the driver's seat as you go out there trying to achieve your goals, right? Trying to dominate your life. You may not actually be the one in the driver's seat. So we have to understand that as a fact of life. Everybody starts somewhere, right? There will probably be in your life, right, more times than not that you are the weaker one of the group, the weaker one of the bunch, in the event, right, of you having to go against somebody in a conflict or a battle or competition, right? You may literally be the weaker one. As I said before, we all have to start somewhere, right? So it's not that I'm telling you don't get into battles, right? I'm telling you that a lot of times you get into battles where you're not the strongest one, right? You're not the strongest, you're not the smartest, you're not the quickest, right? And you're going into a losing battle. And my question at the beginning of the podcast is, why are you trying to fight that losing battle? But I'm going to give you some tactics to help you to get ahead. So keep listening, guys. Now, if this ever happens to you, right? If you're in a battle, in a competition, and you are the weaker one, If this is the case in your life, in the journey that you're taking, I have some strong advice for you to take, right? Some strong advice to give you that hopefully is going to help you to be smarter and make smarter choices, right? And my advice to you is never get into a fight, a battle, a conflict, confrontation, or anything that you know for a fact you're going to lose just for the sake of pride, right? Just for the sake of ego, just to make your ego feel better. Why are you going to get into a battle, right? Because somebody insulted your pride, somebody hurt your feelings. Don't do that, right? A lot of times people know they're stronger than you and they goat you into that battle just to pull you in, just to dominate you and defeat you. So understand that, right? Don't do it. Don't jump into a battle because of pride, right? The first and the most important part that I'm talking about is that important thing that I can come out of a battle, right? When you guys are in a battle, the most important thing is you literally, when you're in a battle that you can't win, you may come out of that battle so devastated and losing so much, right? That it takes you years to rebuild, years to come back, right? Years to recover. And sometimes when you're in a battle so severe, you may not even be able to recover the resources that you currently have. So understand that when you're getting into a battle that you know you can't win, sometimes that battle may be so devastating that the resources that you lose, you can't recover. So understand that, right? And that is the first thing that I want to talk to you guys about. And the next thing is, I want you guys to take into account, right, that you can lose everything that you have gained, right? You can lose everything that you have gained by going into a battle against a superior opponent, right? That superior opponent may not be as compassionate as you may be over a weaker opponent, right? That superior opponent may feel that they need to use you as an example and crush you completely. I've seen this far too often throughout my career in law enforcement, where someone is of a weaker rank, maybe less power, maybe less influence, and they try to go up against someone much stronger than them, and maybe even the issue that they were going up against them for was a valid issue, right? It was backed by their heart, it was backed by their emotions, and because of the fact that it's backed by their heart and their emotions, they felt that they were doing the right thing, and so they allowed their ego to go ahead and say, well, let's go ahead and beat David and Goliath and go up against a giant. And I've watched people lose their entire careers going against a giant, right? I've watched it. I watched it happen far too often, man, far too often. So a lot of people too, coming up in power, think that they're already there, and they're not actually there just yet when it comes to power. So they also get crushed. So you got to pay attention to that, man. And you can't allow your ego and your emotions to dictate going against a superior opponent. Now, in life, right? You should all be already know the obvious, right? And the obvious is that you shouldn't be seeking a battle with a superior opponent, right? So you may already know this. Some of you don't, right? If you don't know this, then I'm explaining to you right now, you should not be going out there seeking a battle against a superior opponent. You should instead choose, right, a smarter tactic, right? And that tactic that I'm talking about is the tactic of surrender. And a lot of people, they hate to hear that word surrender, because when you hear the word surrender, a lot of people think that they are weak because they surrender. When the truth is that you should probably surrender because you are weaker, right? You can't go fighting unwinnable battles over and over again and expect to actually get ahead and achieve the life that you want and make way in a direction that you need to take in order to have a better life. So you can't go seeking these battles and think that everything is going to work out. It is not going to work out to your advantage if you constantly put yourself in harm's way by going against a stronger opponent. So one of the tactics that I tell people is surrender. Now, the surrender tactic when you're weaker, it serves you in twofold. And let me explain the twofold way that the surrender tactic serves you, right? The first thing that the surrender tactic gives you is it gives you time to recover, right? Now, if you jumped out there and you went to battle somebody that was stronger than you, right? And you realized they were stronger than you after you got in the battle and then you surrender, you may suffer some losses, right? But if in the midst of the battle you decide to go ahead and surrender, it gives you time to recover, right? And gather more intelligence on your opponent, the person you are going against. And I think that is far more important than going against him in battle, okay, using your ego to assume that you're going to win and then getting crushed far beyond belief where you can't even recover. So the surrender tactic, you can use that to lessen the blow that you're taking, as well as to buy time to gather some resources and some intelligence against your opponent, your rival, your tactic, your enemy, whoever it is, right? So that's the first thing that's important. Secondly, as far as surrendering, it gives you great power, right? It gives you great power because even though you're weaker, you gain power in never allowing your opponent to defeat you in battle, right? It is one thing to surrender to somebody because they're stronger, right? It is another thing to be defeated in battle. When you are defeated in battle, it is almost debilitating and humiliating, and it is very hard to come back from that. When you surrender, right, it's a whole different tactic, right? It is actually the more intelligent tactic to surrender as opposed to, okay, just going all in against somebody in battle. It's so much stronger to surrender than being defeated. Also, when you surrender, you will also find that a lot of times, right, the more aggressive opponents, right, they don't know how to accept a surrender, right? They're so used to going all in, full blaze, right, in kill mode, that when you surrender, they don't know how to accept it. They don't know how to take it. And so they begin to become unsettled because this is all new territory to them. They always are used to going at it and going into a battle all in. So they take your aggression, you take their aggression away from them. By now surrendering, you literally gain control of the entire situation, because now they are in uncharted territory. Okay, they don't know how to handle somebody who surrenders. All they know is aggression, battle, aggression, and battle. That's all they know. So believe it or not, guys, believe it or not, this actually gives you more power, because now you actually control the negotiations when it comes to surrendering, right? When it comes to giving in to a stronger power. You actually control how they're going to accept your surrender. You're in control of it now, right? So you literally switch power sources from their aggression to you understanding their territory that you're stepping into, and now you're surrendering. They don't even know how to handle it. They're like, so what do I do now? I don't know what to do now. This guy's surrendering already. All I know is battle, battle, fight, fight, fight. Right? I don't know how to negotiate a surrender. So now you're in control, guys. And this is powerful. And it is very, very smart tactic to use when you're a weaker opponent. Now, long before I learned this tactic, I just want to say this. Long before I learned this tactic, I used to allow my ego, right, to pull me into countless unwinnable battles, right? Countless unwinnable battles, and that has cost me years of my life, man. Years of my life and tons of resources. Obviously, it cost me my most valuable resource, which was my time, right? I've been set back countless years with so many different unwinnable battles on so many different fronts, right? All because my ego told me, don't let them say that to you. Don't allow them to have control over the situation, right? Don't allow them to be the boss over these people. And I've stuck my nose in where it didn't belong far too many times, and it caused me a lot of losses, man, a lot of losses. So, what got me into trouble, guys? What got me into trouble is the same thing, right, that gets most people into trouble. And that is our tendency to overreact to the moves, right, of our opponents or our enemies, right? People are aggressive a lot of times because they want you to react, right? That is their way of controlling you, right? They come at you with a form of aggression, and then they know that from that aggression, it gets you to react a certain way, which they have trained and worked hard at, okay, over and over and over again. That is their thing. The thing is, okay, reacting to somebody's reaction after them being aggressive. So they know that, and they know all the moves you're going to make and all the steps you're going to take, okay, to try to counter their aggression with more aggression. But at the end, they already know that they have enough resources to overpower you. So a lot of people overreact to people's aggressions, right? We have a tendency just to do that as human beings, right? You know, somebody comes at you, you come back at them, right? And here is the deal. When we overreact, what it creates is an environment, right, where we're being controlled by our opponents. Period. That's the environment it creates. It creates nothing else other than an environment where our opponents are in control. Now, that control forces us to make unreasonable decisions, right? Those unreasonable decisions are decisions that we definitely would not have made had we remained in control, right? A lot of times already know that you leaped too far when somebody pulls your goat, and it's so hard to pull back because your ego doesn't allow it. And so now you're deep into the fight, you're deep into the battle, you're deep into the mix, and they've already got 1-2 reactions out of you, and now you're at war. You're at war, and your enemy is going to demolish you. They're going to devastate you. They're going to conquer you, because they already knew that this is where they're strongest at. So if you would have surrendered, you could have gained control over the situation as opposed to losing control over the situation. Also understand this, guys, right? When you are aggressive towards someone who is also already aggressive, what it causes is a rebound effect. That rebound effect is literally them overreacting to them causing you to react, right? So a lot of times, right, someone comes at you with an act of aggression, right? You retaliate with an act of aggression as well. You are much inferior opponent in their realm, right? But because you overreacted, it gets them pumped up, their adrenaline pumped up, and gets them to react back at you at an even stronger fashion, because maybe they didn't annihilate you with the first instigation, with the first tap, with the first form of control. They didn't annihilate you, right? They didn't crumble you like a deck of cards. So it forces them to overreact and come back at you, which can, as I told you guys before, what can possibly be devastating to everything that you worked on and worked for your entire career, your entire life, your entire business, your entire family, your entire resources, right? A much stronger enemy can destroy all of that in a snap, man. So you guys got to pay close attention to that, being controlled by the reaction, overreaction, as well as watching out for the rebound effect when it comes to dealing with someone who is of superior power, right? But as I told you guys before, I am teaching you how to manipulate and control that situation. It's almost like in judo or jiu-jitsu, right? How you use someone's strength against them. So you gotta be constantly thinking, right? Constantly thinking. Now, as a survival mechanism, we often meet aggression, as I told you guys before, with aggression. Okay, which automatically gets like us reacting to people, and that's how so many people end up losing so much in life. And because of that, that is what our opponents bank on. They bank on us reacting to that. So in this situation of aggression, they remain in control. They remain in control of you the entire time because they bank on our human nature of, as a survival mechanism, reacting to their aggression. But I have an idea. I have an idea that has worked for me, right? It has worked for me and saved me tons. It saved me tons of resources as well as time, man. As well as time, right? And guess what that idea is, right? Yield. One word, man. One powerful word, okay, that you can use, okay, to help you to remain in control and to maintain all of your time, all of your resources, and all of your energy when you're up against a much stronger opponent, right? Now, I know, I get it. I know this is hard for our ego, right, to digest, right? It is so hard for our ego to digest. But the don't resist, don't fight back, but yield to aggression instead technique is masterful, guys. It is masterful. So you have to learn how to stop allowing your ego to control your actions and start thinking intelligently when it comes to things that you are dealing with, confrontations that you go up against in your life, man. This is so smart and so powerful, and that is why I have used this far more often than the other one, which is aggression for aggression. Too many people lose, right? Even when you are equally matched, people lose when it comes to aggression against aggression, man. And I use this in all facets of my life, man. I use this in my finances. I use this in my relationships, my personal relationships, my marriage, my reactions with my children. I use it on so many levels of my life that it has saved me time and time again, tons of time, man. Saved me tons of time, right? And what you guys will soon find is that when you use the yield technique, it actually neutralizes your attacker by catching them off guard. Right? Somebody's coming at you crazy, 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 and you yield. Okay? It catches them off guard and actually neutralizes that whole adrenaline aggression thing that they thought that they were going to use to overpower you when you basically gave up the power. You got this. I yield, right? Now, my philosophy on this technique is I'm playing the long game, right? I'm literally playing the long game. So you guys are looking at me saying, oh man, this guy is freaking, he's yielding to everything and everybody. Life is a game of chess. And chess, you have to be, whoever has the most moves thought of in advance is the person who wins in the end. It is the long game. Everybody, it's so easy, right, to jump out there and come at somebody with initial aggression. It is so easy, right? We are animals by nature. So a lot of times we react, okay, and we don't think. So when you react and don't think, you're immediately going to be aggression, because that is our go-to. That is our fallback, right? Meeting aggression with aggression. But when you play the long game and you yield, whoa, when you yield, how powerful it is absolutely amazing, right? Because here's the deal, and this is for me when I am playing the long game using this technique, right? You have not given up your desire to win. No, you haven't given up your desire to win. You have not even given up your desire to conquer your opponent. You haven't given up either one, right? The technique of yield, right, is your outward, right, appearance. It is your outward assurance to your opponent that they have won this battle. What they don't realize is this is just round one, man. This is just round one, and there's tons left of fight in you. But you're not going to show that. You're not going to show your opponent that you plan on coming back at them with aggression. No, you're going to yield, right? The yield is the face that you show your enemy while inside, right? While inside, you remain firm on your idealisms and things that you plan to do, right? You remain firm on your values, right? You remain steadfast on the direction that you're going, okay? But you hide that face inside, right? Because, as I said before, you're going against a stronger opponent. So when you do that, it is so that you can then later on another day, right, as you gain power, as you gain strength, as you gain influence, okay, and maybe even get closer to matching up against your stronger opponent, then that is the day that you make your tactical move to conquer. Okay, so listen guys, I'm about 29 minutes into this podcast. You know my podcasts only go about 30 minutes, but this technique of yield is powerful, guys, when you're going against a stronger opponent. And I want you guys to think about this going into the new year of 2022 so that you can save tons of time and tons of resources. This has been a mistake that I have made for far too many years, and I'd hate to see you guys lose so much, right, of your life and your time by doing this, man. So begin yielding, okay, and using this as a technique to get ahead. Now, as I wrap this up today, make sure you guys hop over to lieutenantsalblue.com. That's LTSALBLUE.com. Pick up your free copy of my book, Top 25 Mistakes. It is filled with tons of goodness, man. Tons of goodness, right? And also, it's tons of extra bonuses on my website that I'm giving you when you pick up my book, Top 25 Mistakes and Route to the Good Life. So you pay $9.95 right? And that is the cost of shipping and my production costs. Okay. Also, guys, if you want me to talk about something specific on my podcast, just shoot me a DM at any of the social media platforms. That's Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Twitter. Right down here, DM in YouTube, Reddit, Blogger. Okay. And all the social media platforms. And with that said, man, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for checking me out. And you guys have a fantastic evening. All right? Deuces.